I have no projects in the making right now because I'm unemployed. But I'm probably gonna fix my drone later and make a video of that. And I bought a new bike. So I decided to make a video basically centered around kind of like vlogging my unemployment routine. And I was biking when I first got unemployed, right? And I didn't file for unemployment, so I was just basically surviving off of my savings. So biking every day, I was actually losing weight and I was keeping the blood flowing and I was making a routine and it was working. And then I accidentally left my wheel at the park. So that was about 3 weeks ago. In the 3 weeks since I lost that front wheel, I had gained 15 pounds. So I'm returning back to that routine and went out and bought a new bike, a relatively cheap bike, but not too cheap. And since then, I also filed for unemployment, so I'm getting that now. So I'm happy about that. So, and then also, some miracle, I can find a job that's not directly linked to the oil industry because of my life experience working for companies that are directly linked to the oil industry, service companies, Weatherford and Custom Rubber and TAM and all of them. So I've seen the dark side of the industry, and I know a lot of people think you should look at the positive, but I've I've been falsely accused of racism, and I've been a victim of racism. I've seen injuries. I've seen people caught in lays. I've been injured myself. I've seen good people get fired for ridiculous reasons. I've been fired for false reasons. It's something that I I acutely want to not be a part of anymore. And one thing I want to do is find a way to cycle myself away from generally not being a part of it no more. And living in Texas and Houston, it's part of the culture here. People love their cars, so I love cars too. I love classic cars, and classic cars are the best cars in my opinion. It was the golden generation or golden age of vehicles in this country, were cars built from like 1980 and so on in the reverse direction. So um, I think the 70s and 60s, those cars were just awesome, and they were non-restricted. And that's because the science of fuel efficiency, the economy, and all that stuff wasn't playing a major factor role in people's purchasing of cars. So it's just power and I guess you can say image. So nowadays that's still kind of the case, but it's becoming more of a luxury thing. And if you're a foreigner watching this, you might be looking at Mustangs and Camaros and stuff like that when you watch your foreign shows. Those are for people that can afford it. Or people that are foolish and are paying entirely way too much of their general income on buying a vehicle that will practically be completely pointless and useless a couple years down the road because new models will come out and so on and so forth. So, in my objective during my unemployment, I'm trying to get back into school, and I tried going to vocal rehabilitation with the VA. That ended up not panning out the way I thought it would. They just sit me down all these closed hallways with no open doors and all that stuff. I got fucked up knees, and that's my only excuse to try to get into that, and standing up all the time. But most importantly is I need that extra educational boost to get me back in a path that'll make me money. And I'm competing heavily with foreigners from up north and as well as from the border. So my hourly wage worth is, I've come to the conclusion, is probably significantly lower. I mean, I'll probably end up working a machine again, making what people make at Walmart or managers make at Starbucks or whatever. So it's not the most appealing thing. And I've been thinking about maybe trying out the security guard thing. That's I don't if I can't get past the lingering portion of getting to the 3rd of next month, which I'm scheduled to see a vocal rehab person over at the Workforce Solutions. So that's pretty much summing up my current situation right now. I'm going back into the biking routine. I bought a bike at Walmart, It's not the greatest bike in the world. I've been testing and adjusting it. I like the way it looks. I like the components of it, but the gear ratio is not high enough. It only goes up 7 gears, and it has a slower top speed than my previous bike. But I noticed it's not a cruiser. It's got all-terrain tires on it, and I noticed that the rims are small, so I can probably change the tires out to a small, thinner tire and probably get more velocity and more oomph out of it. But I'm going to keep the tires on there right now because, right now I'm a fat ass. So. I'm not a very smart person, and I really don't know how someone like me can hurt the oil industry. But I mean, I like to see new jobs being created in the tech front, but I really don't know. I mean, what can a free market individual like myself that spends money possibly purchase something that completely defies the norm here in Texas, away from burning fossil fuels? And what kind of product out there can a person that's been screwed like me really do to affect change? I mean, I really just don't know. I mean, what kind of crazy free market device can someone buy that can change it? I mean, I know oil is going to be around forever. It makes all our food coloring and medicine and drugs and chemicals, but I mean, now one of the big issues about being unemployed in the United States isn't the fact that you don't have income coming in, because you can file for unemployment and there's a safety net which will allow you not to collapse, but it's pretty much in the minimum spectrum. And one of the great things about living through a down session in the economy is that I adapted, and I adapted for this situation. So I have a car that can charge. Now it's an amphibian. It's not, full electric, but it'll give me 41, 42 miles at the max, sometimes more, sometimes less. And I've learned that on average I travel within that distance, so I don't have to put very much gas in my car. And I bought my house during the housing crisis, and my house is $1,500 less than the average house, the price of the average house payment in this area. So I have some extinct advantages. Now, one thing that's been going through my mind is, now that I got employment, because I almost signed up to go to University of Houston, and I can go to school for free, but was the supplemental income, something that'll take care of my bills and everything. Now, my parents are like, why don't you just get a temporary job, or do this and that. Now, my total overall expenditures, I would have to make a considerable amount of money. So it would stress me out to work and go to school. That, and I have a major disadvantage compared to a lot of other people, because I've been a machinist my whole life. Now, it makes me relatively decent at math, but it means that my acute spelling and writing skills have suffered. So that means I would have to concentrate heavily on trying to hone those skills. So I got a major disadvantage there. And working in those environments, I probably type freaking maybe 20s or 30s, 30 words a minute maybe if I'm lucky, compared to the 60 that's usually required. And that, in my confidence in spelling is diminished quite a bit. Now, the way I lost my job, now I felt like I quit, but they sent me a letter of termination, which is what allowed me to get unemployment, which I'm grateful for. Because what I did the last day I was there wasn't a termination offense. Now, they never gave me a chance to get punished or anything, because I wanted to keep that job and I wanted to stay there. not because I wanted to stay there, because responsibilities. But yeah, it was terrified of, I guess you could say, the financial brick wall, the thing all of us fear of hitting. I've seen friends, break their lease on apartments and ruin their credit. I've seen roommates get their cars repossessed, and I've been walking this tightrope for more than 20 years now, and I haven't owned my own car since I was 18 years old, and I'm always paying car payments and shit like that. So this is my cheap Chinese bike. Now, I say cheap, I'm pretty sure if I would have bought this a couple of years back, it probably would have been $40 cheaper. Thanks, Trump. But it looks well built, but I promise you, it's got some cheapness to it. I do not like these rear brakes. I actually took the washers out and backed them up, and I tightened up the screws because it was rubbing, and I was getting a lot of friction when I was biking. It also has like the shittiest gear ratio I think I've ever had in a bike. I basically leave it in 7th gear. There's the other lower gears make absolutely no sense to me. I mean, it might as well just be a fixed gear bike. So I absolutely do love the front brake though. The disc brakes are great. Usually you see these on American made bikes, so I'm pretty sure, just like Honda dirt bikes and stuff like that, this is probably a knockoff version of the brake. So, but love this brake. So I'm utilizing the front brake more on the back. The back I'm just using to slow down. I'll loosen it up like crazy. I had to tighten screws, had to tighten bolts, had to realign this. As you know, they put them together in the brick and mortar stores, so, and they don't, you always have to check your bike when you buy it. The capper here is missing. Now the last bike I bought, the same thing happened. So, but I'm hoping this is sturdy. That's one of the major reasons why I got a heavy big bike like this, because I actually bought a cheaper bike, but it was thin tires, 12 gears. It was one of those faster bikes, but it literally disintegrated on me. I mean, I literally had a weld crack on it. The wheel bent when I got in between two pieces of concrete on the road. It bent the front wheel. These fat tires right here, they have less likelihood of that occurring. I mean, all in all, it's a beat up bike. It's an exercise bike. It looks really good, but in the end, it's still a cheap Chinese bike. So now I wanted to show this. These are like the best headphones I've ever bought, and I think I bought them back in like 2002. So kind of give an idea how old these are. Out of all the headsets that they sell nowadays, these earbuds and everything, these have the best sound. Bass, low end, high end. Now the only problem is with their age is that the actual cushioning that used to be on the outside is now falling in to these little grooves right here that are distorting the sound. So I'm a little bit unhappy about that. I need to go in and fish all that out because it crackles. And I think the reason why these speakers sound so great is that I literally think that the magnet is attached to a plastic speaker and not an actual fabric speaker, so it's kind of interesting. But I also have to show you all this. I remember back in the day, these were literally given out for free. I think I might have bought this one, and it's only it's like the original USB. USB 1. I love this device. The battery doesn't work on it no more, so I have to plug it in to a battery pack to get it to work. But I put a 1 gigabyte card in there. I think it has 3 gigs of memory inside of it, so it's enough to fit all the songs I want to listen to. So, but today I'm going to be using my phone for basically the first time. So that just might be kind of a neat thing to look at. So I've come up with a crucial determination. I'm going to be returning this bike back to Walmart. It is, how can I put it? It's bad. I think what it is just a hodgepodge. With the rims being thin like that, and they got these oversized tires on it. I had tightened everything up, adjusted everything. You know, the only thing I didn't do was lubricate the chain. But I was going up a hill, and the gear randomly just randomly changed, and I lost all momentum and almost fell backwards down the hill. I started hopping up and down to get the re-catch, and it finally did, and I struggled to go back up the hill, and I kept on having this like weird wobbling feeling. I was thinking maybe the wheel was loose in the back, you know. Come to find out, it's this. Now, my other bike, it would slide back and forth. I never had a bike where it does this shit, and it plays with your head when you're riding your bike because you think you're a little bit too far this way, too far the other way. Yeah, this bike is just way too jinky for me to ride on a daily basis. So I'm going to go back to my house and grab all the, I guess you can say the papers that go into the wheels and all the shit that was hanging on it when I bought it. And oh, also, I know for a fact that the wheels have been losing some air because these wheels, they just didn't feel right. I don't know. It's not a good bike. Looks good, just isn't good. So I'm off the road. Let's see here. All right, I'm off to Walmart to return that crappy bike that I bought. I got 22 miles left. I had 30 miles when I went to the park, and I started off at 38 miles, so I'm doing pretty good. I'm going to now drive to Tennessee Sports. Let's see what I'm averaging miles per gallon. 250 miles per gallon. Now, of course, that's estimation. As long as I keep using electricity, it'll stay right there, but it'll start slicing into the blue once the engine kicks on. But yeah, as long as I don't work, I do my best not to burn a drop of fuel. The way I see it, I'm not pissing on the grave of dead soldiers, and that's the way it's gonna be. So